The topic of this lesson is understanding the severity of gender-based violence. I will start off the lesson with a few key terminologies that will help with the understanding of gender-based violence. So gender-based violence is a form of direct violence, which is overt human-initiated physical violence that can occur at the micro, meso, and macro levels of analysis. For this topic, we will specifically be focusing on the micro level of analysis, which is direct violence that occurs between individuals or small groups. Although very closely related, it is necessary to distinguish the difference between gender-based violence and sex-based violence. Basically, the biggest difference is that sex is a biologically constructed concept, while gender is a socially constructed concept. Focusing on gender-based violence, which is the overall topic of our lesson, it is an ongoing global peace issue that negatively affects women, girls, and other gender minorities simply for not being a cisgender man. Can anyone give a few examples of what they think gender-based violence can look like? So the following are just a few examples of what gender-based violence can present itself as. I would like to highlight, however, that these three forms of gender-based violence account for more female deaths than all other types of gender-based violence combined. Now that you have a basic understanding of gender-based violence, we will be moving on to learning about the severity. To do so, we will be looking at sexual violence, which can be a form of gender-based violence because it disproportionately affects women, girls, and other gender minorities. For a better understanding of what sexual violence is, please take the time on your own to watch this video courtesy of the CDC. This assignment is structured around Kolb-and-Kolb's experiential learning cycle. This is a quick overview of what you will be doing throughout the course of the project. In groups of 4, students will be conducting microethnography. In its Latin roots, ethno means race or culture, and graph means writing, and so ethnography means writing about culture. To reiterate, this activity is structured around Kolb-and-Kolb's experiential learning cycle. It starts off with concrete experience, then reflective observation, onto abstract conceptualization, and finally active experimentation. For this activity, concrete experience will come in the form of observations and interviews, reflective observation will come in the form of initial journaling, abstract conceptualization will come in the form of the final report, and active experimentation will be the final presentation. So, our activity starts off with initial research. Because this lesson is all about promoting social sensitivity, I understand that some students may not have viable access to the necessary materials for this project. So, within your groups, you will need to have at least one of each of these items and share among yourselves. Work together and collaborate to make something work, to make sure all of you are able to do the research and develop interview questions. To help guide you in finding some interview questions that you can ask your interviewee, I provided you a list of sample questions that you can use, but you can only use one of them. Now that you've developed your interview questions, this is the time for you to conduct your interviews. Make sure that the interviewers are all recorded, and anyone who is not actively participating in the interview will be observing and documenting all of their observations into journals. Make sure that whoever you are interviewing is of a differing gender identity to build a gender perspective. The model on the right will demonstrate how you are supposed to conduct your interviews. Now that you've completed your interviews and observations, please comprise a 5-page report with all of your findings and conclusions. Now that you've all turned in your final reports, you will all present your findings to the rest of the class. Thank you for participating in this lesson. I hope you all enter the world now with a better understanding of the issues that surround you, even as close as your own peers.